What is up, everyone? I'm Robert Meraz.
And I'm Fina Meraz.
And this is CV Huss, the podcast to inform entrepreneurship here in our Coachella Valley. And today we got a really special guest, people. We got Dr. Mike Jerez from Mike Jerez Chiropractor.
What's going on?
How you doing, man?
Outstanding. How you guys doing?
Very
Awesome,
good.
man. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely.
That's un placer for sure.
I know, me too. I was like, I know you on a professional level, but
Yeah.
I want to get down to the nitty gritty. I know we've heard,
Vamos.
because I've heard like snippets, right? And but I want to know. You just said you're from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Serious?
See? A lot of people, I get that a lot. That they don't like, what do you mean? Like, you know me for a little bit.
I could
like,
tell.
Like, you could tell, right?
I could tell
Yeah.
I met you.
How many times,
you
like-
ain't from California?
Like,
Really?
Nah,
you don't
he's-
hear me say
yeah.
like at least 7 times in the conversation, forget about it.
Well, just the mannerisms, the way in which you interact with people, the no nonsense kind of
Yeah, that's
forward
us.
speaking.
That's us.
That's New York. That's
us.
That's the
Yeah.
East Coast right there.
That's East Coast. We're not rude. We just do it with tact. Con amor.
All right.
Excuse me, I'm the same way, and I'm from the desert. No, I'm
Ah.
just kidding.
I don't
Okay,
know.
so Brooklyn. Talk to me about that. Was your family from? Obviously, your family was from Brooklyn.
We're Dominicanos, and then I think my grandmother Gabriela on my mom's side, she came first, and then she started bringing everybody. So I was born over there, and then my mom came, my dad came, and then I came here when I was 3. So like I've been here like all my life,
Okay.
all my life. You know, grew up in Brooklyn, a little bit of the Manhattan, stuff like that, whatever, Queens, but forever Brooklyn.
So you're-
We like to call it the planet of Brooklyn.
Yeah, it is right. It's its
Yeah.
own. It's its own. Little
It's
space.
its own place. It's its own place. It's got a little bit of everybody. It's got a little bit of Queens, Manhattan, everybody.
Well, I have one of my vendors, Allison Eden. She's from Brooklyn, and she has her big like art studio there
Yeah.
and everything. And
Art is huge. Music is huge. Food is huge.
Oh my God.
The culture is huge.
Super
Like
culture.
it's literally the capital of the world, New York, right? Like where I grew up in Brooklyn, it's Moscow, Odessa, and Ukraine, right? And then you go up 3 blocks and go to the left, you hit Mexico and all the Aztec, Inca, Mayan countries,
my gosh.
right there.
Wow.
You go like 10 minutes up, and then you hit India and Pakistan. The crazy part is that you would think that when they come to a new country, they move away from each other. Nope. A giant street like 111. You got Pakistan aquí, and you got
no, where were we driving by? I think it was in Paris.
Paris,
and
yeah.
we were going
Drove
back
through
to the airport.
Indian town in
And
Paris.
you just saw all first it was like Muslims. You saw
Right.
everybody in this and Indian dresses and everything, and then you go and then you see I don't know. It was
like
just
that.
Yeah.
crazy. I
Yeah.
was like, wait a minute.
One block to the next.
Well, yeah, and like what I think maybe 2 blocks after you pass India and Pakistan, Jerusalem.
Oh,
Wow.
Like you got the combination of the Hasidic Jews, you know, the Orthodox Jews, and then of course because you know we're Latinos, there's food somewhere. We're there as well.
Give me that food, baby. Okay, so you went to high school there.
I went to elementary school, high school, a little bit of college, and then I joined the military.
joined the
Wow.
military.
So
What?
you're a city dude, man.
Was it?
City dude, man.
City. Yeah, we know that place like by heart. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's awesome, man. Brooklyn in the house.
I couldn't do the snow, man, and the traffic.
So you do LA?
No, I hate it every once in a while.
Oh, we
you
just-
live there though.
See, but the thing is for us is that we don't deal with the driving. Like we go driving if we got to go outside of the city to Jersey,
you're on the train.
whatever stuff like that. All you need is your little card for the bus or the train. The train gets you there, the bus gets you, or one of the two. Well, see, no, if you're in Manhattan, just do this. Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Raise your hand, and a
Somebody
cab.
pick you up.
Raise your hand if you're sure. Remember
Yep.
that commercial?
I tell
aging
people
myself.
if you want the most craziest ride, don't worry about roller coasters, whatever. Look on a map of Manhattan and like at least 10 blocks, right? And you flag down a taxi cab, a yellow cab, and you say, "Hey, I'm late. I gotta get here in like yesterday. You get me there, and I'll give you a tip. Hang tight." Right? They'll fit that Chevy Caprice in a spot like that.
That's skills, man.
the
Yeah,
sidewalk.
yeah. Don't blink.
The craziest Uber I've ever been in is in Manhattan.
Yeah.
That guy was all, I mean, and he was just normal about it, but I'm like, we're in the back seat with our kid, like, what the hell? And this guy's
Yeah.
cutting people off. He's freaking, oh my God. It was terrifying.
And it depends where they're from, because that's how they drive in their country.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
true.
my God. But that was
you go
quite
to-
an experience.
You go to Mexico, we got some crazy drivers
Oh, yeah,
over there
wow.
too.
I've been to Ensenada. That's
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me. So you said I'm going to join the military. Why did you decide to join the military?
Oh, mind you, I went in late. Like my mom, my negra. I have two moms. My negra, Miriam, who gave birth to me, and my mom, my rubia, my Italian Irish mom. She always wanted me to go to the military and all this stuff, and she's like, "I'm gonna see the world through your eyes," and whatever. So me, super late bloomer to go into the military. I went when I was 25, and it was a calling. A calling. It was something that was always been tugging at my heart. But I didn't pursue it. You know, I worked retail. I worked on my way up the chain in retail. Assistant manager, Aeropostale, the flagship there in downtown Manhattan. But it was just something just tugging. And then one day I went to a recruiting station, talked him through, took the test, and then I delayed it for 2 weeks. Told the family, nobody believed me. My best friend, you know, who's my son's godmother, she's like, you're not going anywhere. And and my mother's like, mira, mentiroso. And I was like, see, mommy, yeah. And then they were like, oh. And I bounced. I was 25.
25.
Yeah.
What year was, not to date you, but what?
2000.
So right before.
So before anything happened,
before
no one knew
9/11.
9/11.
So
right?
I was thinking maybe you got the calling because of that, but no.
No, I went in. It was just something that, you know, like God's been calling. When He calls, you know, after a while, you gotta pick up the phone,
Sure.
right? So I did it, but then with rude awakening, because I was like, okay, we had boot camp. My long-term girlfriend, she was killed. She was a NYPD. She was killed the day I hit 3 weeks in boot camp.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So which section?
I
were
enlisted
you
with the
in?
Navy.
Okay.
And then from there, once I did my boot camp, phase 1 of medic school, and then I went to combat medic school because I knew I just wanted to serve my country. I married the United States Constitution. I knew I wanted to be on the Marine Corps side as a combat medic, and that's what I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Marines.
Yeah, because when you do Navy, and especially if you're going to be a medic, you either going to stay on the blue side. We call it blue side, Navy side. You know, you're on a ship or a clinic, depending what your job is. My job was combat medic, and I just kept on, you know, getting hired, retrained, became a light armor reconnaissance combat medic. That's who I went to Iraq with, and I stayed on the green side. That was my passion. My Marines, my devil dogs, everywhere.
So you were a medic in
Combat medic.
Wow. So you were on the front lines then, right? With the combat medic, right?
Every now and then, it's the front lines, or we're in front of that.
That's a dangerous job, though,
Yes, it
man.
is.
I mean, a lot of medics lose their lives in their platoons. Because you guys they used to not carry guns. Did you guys carry guns now, though?
So that was way back in the days.
Like World War II, right?
World War II.
Yeah.
And then they were targets too, because everybody's dressed in green, and you got somebody with the Red Cross.
Right.
No, not us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And
You're like we're defending ourselves, right?
No, we are camouflage. We blend in. I have my combat medic bag. I have my rifle, my sidearm. Yeah. So
okay, I'm confused because you said I'm a combat medic.
yeah.
So did they train you for medical stuff? Like
Yeah.
how did?
He's
Yeah.
a
So
doctor. He's a doctor.
How,
yeah.
though?
So you do phase. So after you're done with boot camp, right? You have your A school, and your contract that says what you want to be, right? You want to be an X-ray tech. You're going to be a IT specialist, like my baby brother was.
Okay.
I went corpsman, right, which is like medic, and then from there they teach you the basics of it. You know, to work on a ship. You know, like blood draw, sutures, and all that stuff like that,
So it's
right?
definitely so it's a school.
It's a school.
And how long are you in school?
I think it was 16 weeks or 9 weeks, one of the two. Like after boot camp. Then you go to your first school, which is called your A school, right? And then from your A school, then you get assigned to the fleet, wherever the needs of the military on the planet. And here's the kicker: before you graduate, they pass by. They give you a dream sheet, right? Which is like three places where you want to get stationed at. And the reason why they call it a dream sheet because you're dreaming if you think you're gonna get it.
Right.
Like sucios. So what I was told by one of my superiors, upperclassmen, was like, don't pick the places where you want to get stationed at, right? Like
Reverse
the countries.
psychology on them, right?
Pick the combat units that are there. So I did. I was like, right? Southern California. And when one of my instructors was like, how you know about this? I was like, I ain't talking so. But I got dropped burpees like there's no one until I spoke. I'm like, loose lips sing shits.
I'm not a rat.
I'm not a rat. Keeping those clean, don't rat on your friends.
I've seen those rats in
It's
Brooklyn.
the mafia. It's the mafia. The mob.
Wow.
Yeah, so then from there I went to Camp Pendleton. And that's when,
Oh my God!
yeah,
Right
Camp
corner from
Pendleton.
us.
And then they pretty much like whatever you learned in phase 1 of medical school, they like throw it out the window because you're going to learn how to shoot. You're going to learn how to land nav, how to find people, how to do everything, low crawl, whatever the Marines are going to do, you're going to be doing.
You're learning how to be a soldier now.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
First. And then they teach you to go back what you learned, but like in trauma. Like how to do sutures, how to do a chest tube while somebody's shooting at you and the things are blowing up around you.
Wow.
Yeah, and, intubation, stuff like that. Land nav, obstacle courses, long test.
So you like adventure?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
like danger too, man.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
dangerous
danger,
job.
too.
I'll tell
man.
my mom.
Dangerous
She
job,
was
man.
upset. Oh my God. For years, for she knew I was a medic, ¿verdad? Pero she was always like, no entiendo. Because like your brother's like in un cheap or shit, right?
The Jeep.
Right? And she's like, why you in the desert? Why you in the jungle? You know, I'm like, what are you talking about, right? I'm doing my stuff.
Yeah.
But she never knew what I actually did. She knew I was a medic, but she didn't know I was on like doing that work.
Right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're in a tent somewhere off,
Off the
Yeah.
stitching up
line
somebody.
Yeah. And then I think my sister ratted me out. Yeah. Cause once I joined in, I'm the eldest, right? Once I joined in, forget about it. I became the más querido, and I milked that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, you gotta take what you can get, baby.
Heck yeah, man.
I was the number one child. And then when I came back to did my deployments, came back to Brooklyn, and then I got the call like, "Hey, we gotta go." And I was joking. I'm like, "Going to Hawaii, ¿verdad?" They're like, "Nah, man." And I was like, "Oh." So they were like, "Okay, don't finish just finish out your vacation, come back." And then we got to go. This is after 9/11, all that stuff happened.
Oh yeah.
All that stuff happened. So then I had to figure out, am I going to punk out and tell my family when I come back to 29 Palms, right? Or I'm going to be man up and I'm going to tell them right there, right? Trust me, I ruined Christmas.
Yeah. So you did
Yeah.
tell them, huh?
I told my mom first, and she was like, "Oh, okay, me, whatever." Right? And then I was like, "Great, I broke her heart." And then yeah.
But wait, what did you tell her? Where
I
you
told her
where
the
you were
truth.
going?
They're
I told her the truth. I had to go. My team got called up.
Middle East, right?
Iraq to go start the party.
So you, because you're
Operation.
Marines, you're
I wrap
first
it
to
ar-
go,
I wrap
last
it
to
ar-
know, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that's the Marine motto right there, isn't it?
Yep.
You guys just go,
Yep.
you just show up. Who we blowing up? Who we fighting?
Let's
right?
call it spontaneous.
I mean, that's what Marines' job
We
is.
go.
They're the
We
they're the
go.
hammer, man.
Yep.
They're the hammer that
Yep.
kills. The
Oh my
Army's like
gosh.
the little unit that picks everything up, but the Marines.
It's like,
are the
yeah,
ones-
they send us
yeah,
in
they
first.
Yeah.
Send us in first, reconnaissance the area, whatever, take out who we need to take out, whatever, secure it, wait for the Army to show up. They hold everything out, and we get sent out again.
Yeah.
And the running joke is, don't go too far because the Army's going to screw it up. We're going to come right back. If you're Army, I'm sorry, but you know the truth.
A little armed
Inside
forces inside information there, you know.
Well, what
for all
about the
of us.
Navy? Who's
So my brother, he joined 2 years after me, right? And then he joined the Navy. He stayed IT. He was on a ship and everything. So that was interesting. You know, I applauded him. I loved him for that. I was like, hey, you know, you're going above and beyond. That's awesome. But then my mom, my negra, you know, to learn more about the military, instead of going to the library, she goes to Hollywood Video and rents out movies.
Rents movies.
Rents out movies. Oye, by the time she gets to Saving Private Ryan, Saving Private Ryan, and I'm like, who's that? Trying to figure out which family member is that. Yeah. So I had to tell her, I was like, Mom, please stop. Okay. Times have changed. That movie takes place in World War II.
40s, right?
Right. The rules are different.
Yeah.
Right. And God forbid something happens, Coconut Franco's gonna be okay. Right. Because he's on the ship. She's on the ship. Oof, forget about it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard on her.
That's
It was hard on the
tough.
entire family. Even the Italian side, my best friend, she's from Naples, right? So I remember I had to go to her house and tell her, oh my gosh, she flipped out. And just like any Italian family, there's nothing there, blink, and all of a sudden there's like the family's over, there's a full spread. The
gosh.
brother-in-law's coming, everybody's coming, trying to figure, you know, cursing me out. Well, you should have never gone. You better not die.
They were upset with
They
you.
were upset. They were upset and scared. But mostly they were scared.
scared,
Because you
sure.
think about it, it's your loved one, and there hasn't been a war in a minute. like
Yeah,
a big
there's
one.
no generational
There's-
understanding of
That
what
they had
like,
the little skirmishes here and there that a lot of us don't hear about. But then I gotta go. And then, of course, they're like, okay, how we're gonna break his legs, to make it an accident.
Right?
Yeah.
Jeez,
My
man.
best friend was crying. She was so much. She was like, I'm just gonna hit you with the Porsche. I'm gonna hit you. And Brian was like, babe, we just got it. He goes, bro, I love you, but we're gonna hit you with the Hyundai.
right?
That'll work today.
It's paid off.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go to Iraq,
Yeah.
and how long were you there?
We were there for over 4 months. I think close to around 8 months.
Were you in the initial units that
Yeah.
were there, like landing in there?
Yeah.
and,
So like while we
actually-
were there,
you guys
being told there's nobody there.
Yeah, you guys had it the worst because
Yeah.
you guys were the first.
First Battalion, 7th
yeah.
Marines.
Yeah.
Hoorah. Yeah.
You were doing
We
the real, you guys
were
were doing
there.
the real work. They
We
doing
were
the
there.
real work. Wow.
We were there. Like I forget the name of our camp, but our camp was the biggest camp closest to the border. And there was one smaller camp there, but that was our artillery.
So how many do you think they sent
What do you mean?
of the first ones that were there before anybody knew? Like, right? You said we were there.
Put it this way. When you're every 3 years we got to transfer out, right? So like if you're in your sea duty, you transfer out to your shore duty or vice versa, right? The Marine Corps for me is considered sea duty. So there were a lot of people that their contracts were up, right? And it was time to get out of the military, or it was time to shift them over to a new duty station, right? So because a war like that happened, an order comes out: stop, hold, stop, move. Meaning you're not transferring to your new base. You're not getting out of the military. Yeah, because everyone is essential.
And you know it's on at that point.
Yeah,
right?
and mind you, and that's for us people who are always around the clock, frontline grunts, right?
No days off.
Right. And then they start checking to see who else do they need. So they start looking into the hospitals, the clinics, anybody. Even though you're an X-ray tech or phlebotomy tech, whatever, but you at some point in your training, it could be like 8-9 years ago, you went to basic combat med school. Dame esa. I'll take him
I'll
too.
take 'em.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how
And then
many-
from there, then they bring in the reservists.
So how many medics did they have? I mean, you had to be.
We're supposed in a platoon. We're supposed to have a senior medic, and you're supposed to have at least 4 corpsmen, right? When I first got in, we was me, right, and we had two above me, but they were getting out, right, and we were short. The Marine Corps. We're always short, right? Like whenever we get a piece of gear, like mira esto, let's go. Especially if it's a hand-me-down for the army, like great piece of gear.
Yeah, let's take it.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was unused.
Yeah, and mind you, it's like I think his name is Rumsfeld. He says you go to war with the military you have, not the one that you want. Yeah, so we
It's
have
like family.
So we right.
You get the family.
We got the
have, not
family.
one
Sorry,
you want.
mi tío, don't mind him. Right. Yeah, we have vehicles that's supposed to have 2 NVGs, night vision goggles, one for the driver, one for the assistant. You're lucky if there were 2. You're lucky if there were batteries for the 2. You're lucky if one of them with batteries actually worked.
Right. Wow.
Right.
Well, Rumsfeld's whole thing was like small, slim down army, right? And slim
Because
down
we-
military.
for-
right? He wanted to
be-
like cut all the spending.
The
and-
Marine Corps is lightning fast. We're everywhere. We're on ships. We're forward deployed. We're an amphibious unit that you could just boom, bring them over there. The Army, they're larger, right? So it takes much more to bring them over, right? So anything that's quick and fast and stuff like that, whatever. When you need a team there yesterday, we're on Marine Corps.
They're out there. They're out there.
So you were there for 4 months, and then did you get to go back home, or what? Like
After the tour was done, so our tour was done. We're back in Kuwait. It's time to get back, whatever. And you could look it up. And this is so messed up. There was a reservist unit that dogged up. They screwed the pooch so bad. Friendly fire stuff and whatever. So they got
really?
sent back.
So you guys got sent back.
And
to
they
fill
got
the-
sent home.
to fill the void.
And we gotta go back in.
Wow.
So now my I had no family. I was not married or lo que sea. So I felt bad for the guys who had kids, who had wives, who like their kid was just born, and they're told we got to go back in 3 days, and fight back for all the stuff we just took.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Craziness.
That's a life in the Marines, though, right? I
It
mean,
is.
That's
It
kind
is.
of that's kind of the deal,
Yep.
right? When shit goes off, they send the Marines, man.
We say you got to be semper gumby. So semper fidelis is Latin for always faithful, right? So we always put semper in front of everything. So what's gumby? Flexible. Always flexible.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, you guys are they're the tip of the spear, man.
Tip of the spear.
So, okay, so if you're a Marine and you go, you know what? I just don't want to do this anymore. Is that an option?
No, that's not. I don't,
know anything
especially
about
sitting in
it.
that desert in a tent.
You
right?
can
You're
say
like,
you can say it
I
out
don't
loud.
think
We'll get a
this
good
is
chuckle. We'll get a good chuckle. But trust me, we have ways. We have a training. We call it training, right, to get you to comply, to do what you're supposed to do.
There's a training.
There's a training.
Because
For
I'm
it.
sure there's some in every unit, right? That
There's
guys
always
are
there's
double
always
thinking that like wanna
there's
take
always
it back, right?
the funniest one was this kid is, I can't even believe he actually did. I think he was like a Filipino, Alguacil, right? And then the word came, it's official, all 29 pawns, we're leaving. Camp Pendleton, we're going to go fight, right? I came back from New York. I was on leave. They let me do the entire vacation. I came back. And luckily it wasn't one of my junior corpsmen. I was like, gracias a Dios, right?
Make you look bad?
Shoot. They know better. They know
Okay.
better.
Right.
My junior corpsman, they know better. This kid came in dressed up in a Hare Krishna monk, like a
Oh,
Buddhist
hell
monk,
no.
shaved his head.
Conscientious objector?
Conscientious objector, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I think he
no.
belonged to Alpha Company, which is good. Served him right. Yeah, and I was like, it's not Halloween. Yeah, trying to be a conscientious objector.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell
dressed
no.
out of
The day
nowhere.
before you
Out
could've
of
thought of this?
nowhere,
Right.
he discovered his monkness.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you
Yeah.
guys do in that situation? You have to re-educate them.
That's
as the
that's
squad
me.
leader got to step
No,
in.
that's
and-
He's
Jag.
like-
No, Jag. The Jag officers. You know, the lawyers come in, the chaplains come in, everything comes in because they want to make sure that they dot their I's, go to the T's, whatever to make.
Sure.
Yeah, yep. Because the worst thing to do is if you find decide, we have jail,
yeah, military jail.
military jail.
Right.
Yeah,
must be
there's
a
civilian
bad
jail
boy.
and then there's military jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, you'll get trained to make big rocks into little rocks.
Okay, so educate me because,
Yeah.
like I said, so you guys you're sleeping in tents or you have barracks?
So when we're in Kuwait, is air conditioned tents. As a matter of fact, there's a
Yeah, it'd be hot
documentary
there.
that one
it's
of the
like
best
here.
documentaries that I've ever seen, and I saw it when it took me years to see it. It's out right now on Amazon Prime. Generation Kill. It's a docu series of Force Recon that was there. They were right next to us. Right.
Okay.
As you're watching the entire thing, I went through every single emotion that I had while I was still in Kuwait and fighting.
Wow.
Yeah,
They did a good
I
job
said-
then of really getting
Yeah.
like the real story.
Yeah, and because a lot of these things, especially Hollywood back in those days, they're gonna make us look bad. But you know, most of our units, or good handful of units, we had some sort of reporter, tagged along to us, like a CNN or a Fox, whatever. So they had a guy from Rolling Stones, right? And so whatever his mindset was, totally changed because he got to live, eat, and breathe what it is to be on the Marine and stuff. In the middle of firefights as well, recording the entire thing. So first came out a book, and then it came out the actual documentary, and it was phenomenal. And you get to see how we're being put up against our Hummers, no doors,
Yeah.
and they want us to go fight a tank.
Yeah, like-
Yippee-ki-yay.
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's go. So there was a lot of lessons learned. You'll see the guys with the 50 cal on the turrets. Look at what they were or how they were armored then compared to now. They're just up on a 50 cal, no armor around them. Right. So there's a lot of lessons that were learned from being there.
Well, and I'm sure he became like part of the team.
Oh, he became part of the
Right?
team. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
You have
And he
to.
did
Your
he-
life is
there.
dependent.
Life
on
is dependent on it.
Sure,
He did a
you
great
got it.
job. And then so we have air conditioned tents. We have these mobile showers. So we're like your shower was like every other day because they have to conserve water.
Yeah.
A chow hall, like the biggest tent. Whenever you see a Marine Corps camp, the biggest tent is a chow hall tent, and it's also church or temple because on Sundays or Saturdays, they turn it into a religious service. And then from there, they have places. I think they had like a mobile subway, stuff like that. But we knew something was up because out of nowhere, it was like cars and trucks of Pizza Hut showed up.
He's
Yeah,
going home.
and everybody's like, "Wow, let's go!" Right? But you know what that means. It's like it's you know, if you follow a warrior's tradition, right? The night before is a warrior's dinner.
They're partying.
Yeah,
They're partying.
and I think for some reason I always have like 2:45 a.m. in the head when they were like, "Go, go, go!" Woo. Yeah, the alarm goes up to like everybody.
Do they wake you up out of a sleep?
Armor.
They don't warn you guys.
Yeah, armor. No, you hear a general alarm. Armor up. Let's go. Word gets passed up. We get suited up, armored up. Get in your vehicles. Ah, and then we waited. And waited.
Waited for what?
Exactly. We waited. Right.
They armed you up, got you all pumped,
and we had to wait because at that time they got intel that Saddam was in a town in southern Iraq. Right. So what did the military do? I think it was 2 or 4 2,000-pound JDAMs. They dropped it on that house, on that building. Yeah.
They just totally put a hole.
And it wasn't him. It was one of his body doubles. He has a lot.
Wow.
He has a lot.
Freaking smart.
He has a lot. Yeah, like if you remotely look like him, like the story was that they'll pay for your surgery.
You're hired.
You're hired. Ven aquí. Tú, ven aquí.
Right? Wow.
Yeah, and then from there, like, go, go, go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we just went all the way through.
Did you make it all the way to Baghdad? Were you part of that?
Yeah, Baghdad and back.
Baghdad and back.
Baghdad and back.
Wow.
But the crazy part was that from then, this is where I always bring God into it, right? Remember, it was a calling, right? And I remember when I was like, I think 12 or 13 years old, I said, hey, God, before I kick the bucket, I said this out loud, I want to go to the places in the Bible, right? In my head, I had Egypt and Jerusalem.
Right.
And supposedly, not supposedly, sorry, Lord. Oh, I'm going to get so messed up.
no.
Pastor, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. That he's going to give you what you pray for, but exceedingly and above. Mm-hmm. So I felt like God was looking at his planner going, oh, look what time it is. Let me send him to, so if you read a lot of the book of Genesis, it's primarily Iraq, what is now known as Iraq.
Yeah.
Like Mesopotamia.
Fertile Crescent.
Right there. The Fertile Crescent, Cradle Civilization, the rivers that supply the Garden of Eden.
Isn't there Babylon? Isn't there a case for Babylon, Baghdad, Babylon?
I have pictures of me in the biblical city.
Yeah. Isn't there like the old ancient Babylon? Even though I don't think
there.
That's Baghdad, right? Or is it?
No, it's Babylon. So back in the days, all of that area was called the Mesopotamia, and then it changed to Babylonia, right? Like the whole Babylonia. And then Babylon, the actual the city, the ruins, the temple where King Nebuchadnezzar, that's still there, right? And we got to take a pit stop there, to because we're fighting and going so fast within our fights that we left supply back there,
You're
so we have to we're outrunning
right?
the coverage.
Yeah.
So we stopped there. They sent an army unit there. Anywhere that was biblical, historical, they sent teams out there to defend it and from looters.
Yeah, keep it. Yeah.
So we get there, and Iraq's predominantly flat, except for the super top and one mountain in the bottom. Saddam, he was like, I'm the king of this place. He just pretty much got his engineers. He built a mountain, put up pallets on top of that overlooks all of Babylon.
Huh.
Yeah, the ruins are there. And to show that he wasn't such a bad dictator, right? He fixed some of it. But you could see as you're going down, there's a replica of gate number 1. I have a picture of me standing on it because Alexander the Great came through there. Oh, wow. The original gates are, I think they're in Italy or in Germany. And then as you're going down the main procession way, you could see where the mosaics were in the walls, these giant city walls that they chiseled out, brought them over to Italy or Germany, wherever they're at. So it was crazy. And there was a tour guide that was there, and he was giving us a tour because, again, we're trying to relax, recoup, and everything. And the hairs on my head just stood up. He said that this is where scholars believe that Daniel deciphered the dreams of Nebuchadnezzar, right? And those who know, the Bible or whatever, we're like, whoa. Wow. Yeah. And I was like there. And then that's when it hit me. Oh my God, this is God answering my prayer. Mm-hmm. I said Egypt and Jerusalem. He's like, nah, I'm going to bring you where it all started. Wow. Right? Because we got to cross the Tigris, the Euphrates. I think it's called, the city is called Basra, is where the Tigris and Euphrates meet. That, in biblical terms, that's the Garden of Eden, the center.
Wow.
Right.
That's so crazy.
So we got to go through there. The ruins of Assyria is over there, whatever, and then right back down. And it's crazy because you could go through, as we're maneuvering between buildings and alleyways, throughout time. people's just built on other people's stuff. Right? I saw a pillar just sticking out of the ground. And Lord knows how been under there. That's from like Alexander's time.
Wow.
And there's kids just playing around it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
ancient ruins.
Ancient
ain't
ruins,
nothing,
yeah.
ain't nothing to them. They've been seeing it their
Yeah.
whole lives. It's us that live over here. We're
Yeah.
like, wow, that's
And it's
2,000 years old.
Even though, and the crazy thing about it is that you're in the middle of a war, right? But if you can still find the beauty of it all,
Yeah,
right? The sunsets and the sunrises were just astronomical. And I think it's called Ur, that's how it's pronounced. That's over here in Iraq, right? That's where God says to Abram, mira tú, come here. And they left Iraq, right?
So okay, so then you were in the Marines for how long, and how did that end up?
So I served 8 straight years. My goal, my dream was to, do my 20 and then some,
Yeah.
right, and then get out, right, and then retire. We came back, but then when I was there, I just got this calling again, right? When God calls, you do it. My best friend, who's my son's godmother, Mary, she's a chiropractor. Brian, who's like my brother-in-law, her husband, chiropractor. Norm, their friend. I was beat up, right? The running joke, I'm the Latino Humpty Dumpty, right?
fell off the wall.
Because you got injured. Right?
Injured,
Obviously.
name it. I got titanium rods sticking over here, reconstructed shoulder. I
Really?
have 6 bulging discs in my spine.
Is that all from
Military.
military?
Military. I have bone spurs up and down my spine, nerve damage from here all the way down.
So you needed a medic.
Yeah, but
Right.
as the senior medic, we don't got time for that. We don't got time for that, right? And then me, it's like, I'm used to running into the streets in Brooklyn, right, seeing somebody getting hurt. So let me pull them out of the way. I'll get hit. So when I became a combat medic,
Yeah.
right, that was just second nature. And then more so when Patricia was killed, I had no care in the world. It was to
Who's
me.
Patricia?
She was the girl who died when I was in boot
Okay,
camp,
okay,
right?
okay.
So when she was killed, I married the Marine Corps, United States Constitution, and I was like, go.
Yeah,
That was it.
single-minded.
Single-minded.
Oh,
Mission,
wow.
mission. People first, mission always.
And you kind of left yourself out of that equation, obviously, huh?
Yes.
Because your body's breaking down at the same
And
time.
then some. And then I'll try to patch myself up in the barracks, whatever, and stuff like that. Because in front of the Marines, you want to do the best that you can.
Right.
All the time, right? Because to them, we're their brothers, their sisters, their medics, their chaplains, wherever, right? And then once you've earned that respect from that Marine or those Marines, there's nothing they won't do for you.
Yeah.
Till this day.
Yeah.
Till this day, love my guys. All the ones I served with, from Jersey all the way to Japan.
Wow.
Love my guys, and vice versa.
So
But
lifelong.
again, but you gotta show, hey, I'm gonna give you my all, and I'm not gonna ask for anything in return.
Yeah.
Servant's heart.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So then you come home.
Come
and you come
home.
home to Brooklyn, or where
No,
do you
I-
come home to?
California.
Yeah.
Okay.
California kid at this point now.
California,
Huh?
yeah. It came back to 29 Palms. Then it was time to transfer out.
When did you make the decision? So how did you make the decision? Because you said you were gonna do you were gonna do 20 years. You'd be a
Too many,
lifer almost,
yeah, I was gonna be a
right?
lifer, but too many injuries, too many surgeries. I couldn't be the senior combat medic that I was
Right.
before, the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
right. I could, my body wasn't
You
allowing
had to
that
take
anymore.
yourself into consideration at some point.
Now
right?
I became more in the administrative side, training people, right, to do my job,
Okay.
and then some. So that aspect, and then I already got the calling from God that says, "Hey, you're gonna be a chiropractor," and I was
Really,
like,
just that specific, huh? You were like chiropractic. That's
because I
specific.
saw what it was able to do for me.
Ah.
So you started.
I've gone to I did PT, ortho, neuro, you name it, right? Name it. I woke up every single day at 4:45 in the morning to take a morphine pill, and wait the 15 minutes
to kick in.
for not to just kick in, but the happiness to go away, and then go take care of my junior medics and the troops, right? And then 2,000 milligrams of Motrin, right? Gabapentin to try to repair my nerves. Because I sometimes Percocets, whatever, because of my surgeries, whatever, and all that still couldn't go to sleep. So then they gave me like they was called the final was like flurazepam.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
They're giving you some strong stuff, man.
Yeah. But I still did I put myself on the side because somebody else has it worse than I am.
Oh man.
long term, I look back at it now. Yeah, I'm paying the price for it now.
Right.
But then I just got the calling, and then I decided, okay, I talked to my best friend, talked to Mary, what's it gonna take, whatever, and then I started researching schools, the prereqs, and then so I finished my undergrad while I was chipped away.
Okay.
And it's smart.
That's smart.
Oh yeah,
because the military will pay for it.
they give us four free classes a year, and if you want more, make a request. Right, so that's why anybody who's in,
Yeah.
once you know what your job is supposed to be and your routine, right? If you're not taking college courses, man, you're wasting your time, because the way it works is they're gonna give you those 4 free classes, one, and then you want more, right there. If you look at any military base, there's a community college right nearby,
absolutely.
and if it's not nearby, they got offices on base. Right, and then I wanted to, because I'm a medic, so my undergraduate degree is in health science. They took so much of my boot camp life, combat medic schools, my all my training, and turned that into credits.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
So,
it
yeah.
wasn't like all for nothing. I mean, it was you were
could
trained.
chip-
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was hard too. It was hard because I'm still doing my deployments, taking care of my troops, and then and all that good stuff. And then so then when I finally got out, that was a big adjustment. I was married. I got married. Brandon was born, and it's scary. Because all I knew was the military.
yeah.
That's what I know. That's my second nature. That's my love, my first love, name it, right? Now I'm trying to learn how to be a dad, trying to learn how to be a husband, and then starting school, being around civilians.
You weren't ordering your wife around, were you?
No.
But there is something to that, right? You have to readjust.
She's 4'11". You know
She
how
will kick your ass.
You know how Latinos are. The smaller they are, the more dynamite.
That's right, babe.
That's true. I could vouch for
Hello.
that. I know. I can vouch for this right here.
Candela.
But there's something to that, right? You're coming back to civilian life. It takes you some time.
It was a big adjustment.
Right?
It
It's
was
like
a
you're
really
not taking orders anymore. You got more chain.
I'm
of
not
command.
giving orders, not chain of command. And believe it or not, in those 8 years, America changed a lot. And then the whole Operation Iraqi Freedom, whatever side of the spectrum you're at, we did, WMD, there was none there. They are there. A lot of that has changed, right? So for those of us who got out, it wasn't as bad as anywhere near like the Vietnam guys,
was
right?
crazy, man.
That was crazy.
That
but
was crazy.
for those of us who are out, right, we're now the representatives of those who are in. So I took it upon myself to carry myself well. One, I'm Latino, right? I'm representing my family name, the Jerez name. My parents raised me well. The military, was icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. So, I'm the closest person that someone's going to get to someone who's in the fight, who's a veteran, right? So I could mess it up for the entire military by acting like a fool.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Or I could act like a gentleman, like I was raised, right? And then educate them on my life there.
Yeah.
This is how it was. It's not your normal 9 to 5. This is how we live. This is what we do. This is how we serve our country and stuff. I'm sorry that you've met other military personnel or whatever, or who've had a bad time there. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to have great leaders and bad leaders, and get to know the two.
That's true.
Right.
Right.
We had one first sergeant that said, however long you sign that contract, the military got you. And they're going to squeeze, right?
Yeah.
Every last drop. But he said, squeeze back smartly. Get your education, right?
Yeah.
Learn how to, they give free classes on finances, free classes on how to buy a car, free classes on how to buy a house, your education stuff, right? Squeeze back, right? And they encourage it too.
Take advantage, right?
Yeah.
Take advantage. It's funny though, because you mentioned you coming back and America had changed. So what was your kind of was your transition into civilian life? Was it pretty smooth? Did you just jump right into let's go into this chiropractic thing?
No,
there were some ups and downs. How'd that kind of go?
It was a challenge for me because again, I'm like I had the living with the what am I doing? I'm too old. I think I started school when I was like 33.
Oh yeah,
something like that. So I'm thinking I'm gonna be the old man on campus, right?
Right.
When do I take my medication? The living in pain. Brandon and his mom were living up here. You know, we bought a house up here.
Yeah.
I'm down there. I'm thinking I'm going to be able to see him every weekend. That went south quick because graduate school, learning how to be a doctor,
No joke, man.
It takes your whole life over.
It's a jealous mistress, man. You gotta pretty much. You gotta put time into that.
Yeah, the professors even said, even for those of you who were in college and came here, the level of information that we're gonna throw at you is uncanny, right? So like they had a head up. I am with like my military self, right? I could fix that later.
Yeah, right. Put that on the back burner.
Put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was an adjustment. Learn how to be a dad. Learn how to be a husband. I'm away from my wife and at the time and my son. So yeah, I had those issues to deal with. Why did I leave the military? You know, PTSD, stuff like that. You know, so I had those ghosts and those demons to deal with.
Right. It's a lot, man.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and I mean, it's a testament to you to actually navigate through that to even be where you're at now.
Thank
because
you.
a lot of veterans that served with you, I'm sure you have stories of guys that came back and couldn't get over that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot. You hear those stories. What people don't understand about it is like, well, yeah, of course they have some issues. They went into a war zone. It's not natural for a human being to be.
It's not.
It changes you.
It does change you. Forever.
And I don't think people give veterans enough credit. You know, it's like they're coming back to a totally different world, and they're totally different people. They're not the people that they were when they left.
It changes you forever, and that's the same thing. The family that you left behind, like in the old neighborhood, the friends, right? They remember, Dad Bobby, right? They remember Dad Michael and stuff like that. You've seen the world completely different. You're no longer the same dude from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You got to deploy to different countries. You got to see how those countries live.
Right.
How they interact with each other, right? If you've been in combat, or not even before that, customs, courtesies, and traditions in the military, right? The military takes individuals from all over the planet, breaks them down, and brings them back up to be a unit, right? And it's not longer about the self. It's about the man and woman to my right and my left.
Yeah.
Right. So that's different. We walk different. We sound different. We're happy to become home, but just give it time. We're like this, just looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just nature, right?
It is nature.
That's just you readjusting to a place where you're not constantly under threat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you live in that environment, it's going to change you for a while. So
it does.
I think people need to understand that about that. Because that was kind of my generation. There's guys my age that went over there and served, and they came back and they weren't the same people, and you got to give them the benefit of the doubt and much support as you can, because you have to understand that they're not the same anymore. They're different people. Yeah. And they're going to have different struggles than people that haven't been in that situation.
100%. We're never going to come back the same. We're going to be different, either for the better or for the worse. Right. And even those who come back even better, we're not the same person. Right. We see the world differently now. We have different different aspects, different goals. We process things differently, because the military trains us that way. Yeah. Critical thinking. They train us that way.
Yeah.
I have a question. So you've mentioned your best friend Mary and her husband that were both chiropractors. Yeah. So did they work on you and and then you were like, oh my gosh, this has healed me?
I was stubborn. I'm Latino. Forget about it.
Why were you stubborn if you felt better?
They might find something wrong.
If you record Michael Jerez and play it backwards, it says stubborn. Because I was super skeptic. Us New Yorkers, we trust nobody, right? But it's my best friend, so I'm gonna go there, whatever.
Like, okay.
And like every other day that I was there, I think I was home for like 2 weeks or whatever, and I just started noticing a difference. So when I would come back home, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling different. I'm moving different. I could function better, things like that. Then I go back to Brooklyn, same thing. Eventually, I found somebody out here, Dr. Valerie Carpenter. I think she still practices in 29 Yucca Valley somewhere, right? And getting treated. Wherever I went, I started seeking out chiropractic care because there was something different about it. Why is my body in less pain? Why am I functioning better? Why is my digestive system better? Why am I sleeping better? Things like that, right? So I'm like, all right, there's got to be something to this stuff, And then, doing more of my research, doing more neurology of it, the different pathways. Okay, está bien. But it helped me become a better combat medic. I never wanted to become a chiropractor. I wanted to stay operational and serve my country. But no matter where I was at, God's like,
that sounds good.
Yeah. So I'm finally when I made the call, I was like, yeah, I'm answering the call. That's what I'm gonna do. And then it was still difficult because again, the amount of schooling, being away from the family and whatnot. Yeah.
When you say you went to school, so how long do you have to go to school?
4 years.
4 years.
Just
So
like
this is like
med school.
another degree you're getting.
Yeah,
right there.
it's a
4
doctorate.
years.
It's a doctorate.
Man.
Yeah.
That's
It's a doctorate.
lot, man.
So where was the school at?
I chose my school in Whittier. So I applied to 4, got accepted to 4, but I couldn't in my heart move my family again. Right. So I went down to Whittier. They had a great sports chiropractic program. They had a great business aspect behind it because you could be any school will train you to be the best doctor ever, but if they don't show you the business side of it,
absolutely,
you're gonna fail.
Absolutely.
And at that time we only had the doctorate of acupuncture, oriental medicine, and the doctorate of chiropractic. And then once you get those, you get your diplomates. We had a diplomate in sports, radiology. Now the school has expanded from everything from doctorate of PT, OT, and then once you get your doctorate of chiropractor, you can specialize. Like me, I specialize in sports and rehab. I'm not your traditional crack and go. There's some doctors, some chiros that are pediatricians.
Yeah.
They work on babies.
You work on babies, or they just work on pregnant moms. Yeah. So our training is that expansive.
So after the 4 years, you get your doctorate, and then you come back to the Coachella Valley.
No, I stayed down there because I was working for my university as a public speaker. Like they would fly me to different states, talk about if you're looking to be in medicine or become a doctor or whatever, have you thought about chiropractic, right?
Oh, so you're a salesman.
Huh?
You were a salesman.
He's got personality, that's all.
I'm going to borrow that.
Damn.
My attorney.
Right? But I mean, no, there's something to that. They identified you pretty early, right? As somebody that could...
Because and it was also talked to veterans as well. That was my thing.
Yeah, that was because you got that brotherhood.
There's a ton
already.
of veterans that are out there that again they come back. They either we hide in the shadows, we don't want to seek the help, because of whatever stigma it might be. I'm good, right? And we suffer in silence. So there's plenty of times where I got to share, and that's what helped me too with all of my challenges, being able to speak,
talk about it.
Yeah. And how I started talking about my friend, who was really me, right? So when I was in active duty, that's what I would talk about. This guy that I knew, and then at the end of it, I was like, "How'd you feel if that was me?" They're like, "Nah, get out of here, no way." I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." Yeah. So I did that when I public spoke for my university, and then it was touching, heart wrenching, and some mocoso days, because hearing other guys and gals saying, "So I could be normal." I'm like, "Who says you're not?"
Yeah.
What is normal?
You know what? I was just watching a thing on 60 Minutes, and it was talking about doing psychedelic healing. What are your thoughts on that?
For me, I don't go into that route because I always have to be in control. Right. That's why. There's different levels of of medication for it. Different pills, this, that, the third. Some people do marijuana. Some people do other stuff, whatever. But for me, it's like I need to find what the root source is. The same way I practice is the same way I live. I'm not going to chase a symptom. Right? Yeah. I need to find out what is the root cause of why am I feeling this way? What is the root cause that I'm having these I'm triggered because of this situation or triggered because of that, right? I never chase a symptom. So when patients come to me, my favorite is sciatica. Everybody thinks they have it. Right? Yeah. Because either somebody had it or they say they saw it on YouTube or on IG, lo que sea, right?
Well, how about they can't walk?
Right? They can't walk. And then when I talk to them, that's why my initial visit is an hour long, right? But not because of the paperwork, getting to know you, what's going on. Tell me a story. I want to know more about you, right? And then from there we're going to examine, we're going to treat. And there's plenty of times, it's not even sciatica, something even worse, right? Because they've been getting treated. Oh, my sciatica. They act like it's a friend. Oh, I can't go out to the movies, my sciatica.
Right.
Well, then leave it home. Right.
don't mess with it.
Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out, so you went from publicly speaking, how did you end up opening your own practice?
So so my university, the way it's designed is you're going to be doing internships, right? There's a shadowing program in fourth trimester because they want you to get out there and in private practice and shadow. You know, like a lot of kids that come in, I want to be a pediatric doctor, or they want to be a sports doctor. Well, have you ever practiced in one? Have you ever, so you get to shadow those doctors and see if that's what you really want to do. And then once you're in student clinic, we have all doctors, we have our white coat ceremony, which is awesome. They put on our white coats. Now we're student doctors. And our university, you're at clinic for 7 weeks. You're treating live patients, not just your students, whatever, but you're treating patients that come off the street.
Yeah, because it's one thing to go from books and learning that to actually putting it into place.
And it's different. It's way different, right? And then we have to recruit our own patients. We're interviewing out there. After the 7 weeks, before the 7 weeks are done, we need to choose a different base clinic, right? So there's Cal State LA, Cal State Fullerton. You could do internships, now residencies at the VA hospital. Another one was one of my classmates did USC, right? So now you're getting to see different type of athletes, different type of patients. Sharpening your honing in your skills.
Yeah.
And we also do a private practice rotation too. Right. So now is not just at the universities.
Learning the business side.
Learning the business side, because there's doctors who are affiliated with the school, and you interview with them, and they take you on board, right? So now you get to see the day to day, and if you're smart, you'll hang out with admin, you'll hang out with the front front staff, the back staff, right? Learn aspects, and if all goes well, and if you do well, a lot of these shadowing or internship programs, right? They turn into jobs. So I stayed down there for a bit.
Okay, because I always just think about how you were saying, you can look at somebody and go, okay, they need this and they need that. And then it's like, you have to have muscles to work on every kind of body type too, right? Because
we got to be healthy too. But they teach us different body mechanics as well, because a lot of people think it's just these guys. No, it's your whole entire body to take, and how I move. You see me how
you've put a knee in my back before. I know, man.
Toma ahí. Yeah, so it's hard. So from there, there are some students that start their own practice right away. Others, they move overseas, but a good deal of us, we're an associate doctor first, working for someone. You might work for two different people until you develop, enough skills, or, what? I have enough experience under my belt that I want to start my own practice. You could rent out a space somewhere. Yeah. You're not opening a big clinic on your own.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm still confused. So you're working for somebody else, you're shadowing them, but who's paying you?
That
doctor?
When you're interning at university, you don't get paid.
Okay.
No, you're earning hours.
Yeah, because I hear intern and I'm like...
No, you're earning hours.
Okay.
You're earning hours, right? It's illegal to pay you because you're...
how the hell are you surviving then?
Interesting.
You're a student.
Yeah,
man.
you're a student, which we're not supposed to be. We're
poor. Top ramen, baby.
Hey, all students have been there. It's like you wait for that financial aid check to come in. Right.
Again, that goes a long way.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So after that, if you're fortunate enough, you might get hired by that person you've been associating with.
Okay.
And now, you negotiate your contract, however it may be, and until you get more experience, and eventually, a lot of us, you want to open our own.
Is that the route you took? As you entered for somebody, then you kind of
I entered for several people. I was fortunate enough to. Down in Orange County, where I started a lot of the sports stuff, Dr. William Kessler. He's known as the OC Fight Doc, right? All of his interns and doctors are known as OC Fight Docs. If you are in the MMA world, right, from UFC to whatever, to Muay Thai, professional or not, and you're down there, you will see the OC Fight Doc sooner or later. You'll see us, and it was phenomenal for that experience to see all these different type of athletes, meeting the big guys from USC, the up and coming. They're amazing human beings. They're so kind and so humble, right? And they really they're there for your success as well. So, again, you want to become a better doctor, get more of your hands on people, right? Yeah. See different people, treat different injuries.
Different types of
different
injuries,
types. Yep. Have a great mentor along with you. Ask them, how did you know about this injury? And why is this injury different from this injury? And how would you go about it, right? And you're learning that way. At the same time, don't just, make sure you're doing your continuing education as well. Keep on honing your skills. Get more tools in the toolbox. So I did that for a while, and then I came back up here, right? Because, I wanted to be closer to my son and my wife at the time.
Is your family here? Is it still, where is your family at this point?
Which family?
Your kids? And
La Sangre?
Yeah.
My blood family, they're all in the East Coast. I'm the only one out here.
But your wife and your
my ex-wife, she's here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And his son, right?
No, he's in UC. He's in Merced. UC Merced.
But at that time when you were going from Orange County back and forth, they were here. So this is home base.
Yeah, it's home base.
Okay.
So have you always been at that location in La Quinta?
No. I've been. So
no, I saw you at the damn gym.
I've been at Coachella Valley. I practiced up there. And then was there for a bit, and then before that, I practiced in where the old Gold's Gym is at the airport.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it's EOS at the airport.
EOS, yeah.
Dr. Gina Davis, I worked for her first, and then I worked for Center for Health up at Coachella Valley. They wanted to open up a satellite clinic down here to expand some more. So I think a lot of people got to meet Dr. Mike and my alter persona, Dr. Michael.
Yeah.
At the EOS, there was a small office, like where the gym or where the men's bathroom is at. That office, that's where we were at. That's where I got my start here in the Valley.
Okay.
Worked for that company for a bit, and then met the most greatest dude on the planet.
Your mentor?
Mentor, yeah, yep. He's the owner of Fixed Body Group. Now it's called Fixed Medical. Yeah, Dr. Sean Robeck. He was looking to open up a clinic out here. And the story goes that his wife, Kristen, she's an amazing woman as well. She came out here. She knew my buddy, Dr. Naveen Nazimi, right? Love that dude. He's been super instrumental to my beginnings here. Super instrumental. Because the word gets out, there's a new Chiro here, and they're all coming out into the office. And then working up in Coachella Valley, I knew that name Nazimi because of his dad. I didn't know he had a son. So we're like co-managed patients. I met him, hit it off. He was super cool dude. And then whenever he had overflow, he'll send them over to me or him and Stephanie. We're going on vacation. He's like, hey, brother, can you take care of my patients? So, I owe a lot to my beginnings. He's one of the people that I owe a lot to. Right. And then I started working with Sean Robeck, a Fixed Body Group. We opened up an office inside World Gym.
That's the one I went to.
The World Gym.
Okay.
Things were going well there. And then a little thing called COVID shut down the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shut down the world and everything was shut down. So we try to keep the offices open as much as we could because we're essential. Yeah. Right. But it was hard because, security was blocking the entrance to the mall. And then every patient had to call in, had to, unlock the gym, let them in, lock the gym, back and forth.
Craziness, man.
Crazy. Eventually, we couldn't do it anymore. We went our separate ways. Sean's still my mentor. Dr. Sam's still my mentor. Dr. Patrick as well. They worked in the two San Diego offices, so we kept in contact. And what I did was I just went old-fashioned.
You just went on your own at that point, right?
Because the world shut down, no one's open, and people want to get seen. So, Fixed Body Group, they're like, hey, what can you do? And I'm like, I got portable stuff, right? Yeah. They were like, you know what, we'll send you the list of people. It's like, thanks. So that's why they will always be my family. Super instrumental as well, when the world's shutting down. So I went door to door. I started servicing the entire Coachella Valley.
Wow.
In my little Honda Fit, right?
Packing up your stuff.
My portable table. Yeah. And then it was kind of a challenge because when you're used to having the world come to you, right? Look, my schedule. Now you have to learn how to schedule the Valley.
Yeah. Logistically, that's a nightmare. I got to run in Coachella.
Because my first patient would be at the Hideaway, right? And then my next one would be in Cat City, when my next one was right back in La Quinta. Yeah. So I had to learn, do that. Yeah. So I did that for a bit. And then a buddy of mine that I met at a Christian radio station, Dr. James Mwenny, he's a physical therapist. He owns Shelley Cooper Physical Therapy. We hit it off great. We've been trying to work together for a minute. And then he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just doing this. And I see, do you have any empty space? And the Cornish therapy office where he was buying that. So I started, renting space there.
Yeah.
It was great. Outgrew the space. And then he found the Moving Mountains office, the one across the street from Southwest Church.
Yeah.
We did that. And then it was like my chiropractic. It was 2 clinics in one. My chiropractic office with the pediatric office for special needs kids, for the whole autism spectrum, delayed development. That was a blessing in disguise, because there's so many families out here in the valley that have one of those special needs kids, but there's no place to bring them.
Not a lot of services.
Yeah. Loma Linda.
Yeah.
Oh, everything goes Loma.
Right.
Loma Linda.
So let me ask you this about your practice, because I've been to your office and you only need a little bit of space, right? Which is kind of great.
I can make do with what I have, but right now, since we're back at the Cornish office, what makes me different from the other, I'm not a traditional chiropractor. I could see, I'm not crack and go. Right. My visits, the first one's an hour.
Yeah.
After those are 40 minutes, because, I specialize in sports and rehab. It's to get down to what is the root source of your the root challenge. And one of the things that Sean taught me was always ask them, what is it that you love to do? Right. And they're like, what do you mean? What do you love to do?
Eat.
Like, right. I love eat me that stuff. Right. Like I love playing, like I love pickleball. I love this. I love that. Right. And then he always taught me to ask them, is your condition that you're seeing me with keeping you doing from what you want to do? And you watch their faces change.
Oh my gosh.
Like that. Now from there, it's, I'm going to partner with you. We're going to come up with your root challenge, and we're going to come up with a treatment plan to get you back to doing what you love to do. Is it being on a horse, being a grandpa, being a wife again, whatever? That is our goal. And this is how we're going to do it. Right? And then now that I'm back with at Cornish, I work alongside 2 amazing physical therapists, Dr. Pillow and Dr. JC Vargas. They're PTs. So we have that one suite where it's PT stuff, and then we have another suite which is an open floor plan with a lot of rehab stuff. So you're going to get both the chiropractic and the physical therapy, the strength and conditioning portion when you come to see us.
Awesome. All the way around. So
all the way around.
So any athletes out there, if you're looking, Dr.
guy.
Mike's the guy right here,
Thank
man.
you.
If you're rehab.
Do you do any x-rays?
Not at that office. What I do is I, depending on your condition, what it is, I write up the order for X-rays, MRIs. I work with one place out here in the valley because they have my information. Send the patients there. They come back with their discs. They come back with their reports, and then from there I go over the report with them. What are their findings? This is the real reason why this is going on, or because of our training. If it's past my scope of practice, I know who am I going to refer you to. I'm going to refer you to a neurosurgeon. I'm going to refer you to orthopedic surgeon that we partner up with, right? Because now it's in their wheelhouse,
Sure.
but we're still going to co-manage you, right?
All right.
Got it.
What advice would you give to somebody maybe young starting out? I mean, you haven't always been Dr. Mike that everybody knows. You had to work your way. Takes time. But what advice would you give somebody maybe coming out of school or maybe thinking about this as a career, chiropractic, or even medicine in general? Would you have some advice for somebody that's maybe thinking about
huge. Whatever you think your dream job is, write it down. Right, just write it down. Write it down. And then from there, get on the phone. If you got a deal, who's in that profession or whatever, go make that contact and shadow them for an hour or 2 hours. Right? And after you're done with that one, find somebody else, right? Find a totally different type of chiro, or, a pediatrician or this or that, because you really need to see what that life is like,
Sure.
what that job is like, and then go back to compare what you wrote down, right?
Okay.
And if you still got that passion, okay, good. Now go see the universities that are out there that you want to go to. Okay, the challenge with so many people is that they have an idea what they want to do, but they don't really research it. Right, and then they just start from they're here, they want to get there, but they don't reverse engineer it. The Marine Corps would teach us to reverse engineer it. From there, go to those universities, hey, I'm interested in coming to your school. What are your prerequisites to get in? Right? Write that down and work your way backwards.
Sure.
Work your way backwards. While you're there, again, network. Go to events. Go to seminars. Shake hands. Get business cards. Send them an email. Hey, it was great talking to you. Is there any way I could come and shadow you? I would love to learn more about your practice because it's something I'm interested in my future, right? We live in a world that doesn't matter how great we are with technology, right? Nobody wants to do business with anybody that they don't know and trust.
Absolutely.
Plain and simple, right? I come from a small town in Brooklyn, 2.5 million people, right?
Yep.
You could pay as much money as you want on advertising, right? And we've all seen the movies about us, right? Oh, I know a guy. Forget about it. I got a guy who knows a gal, and you tell him I send him, right? That's us, right? But that's networking. That is networking. Get your name out there and start building those relationships. Absolutely. That's what I teach my son right now. Build those relationships, because there's not one business in this town or wherever you're going to be at that you corner the market.
No.
Right? People want to do business with who they know and trust.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? It reminds me of when you first started working in the payroll world, with Dylan. And Bobby learned a lot from him, and then they parted ways. And now, 10 years later or what have
we
you?
still work together.
Right.
Yeah.
Still work together, still in that same ecosystem, man. So you're right, man. The networking, I mean, it may sound old school to you, you Gen Zers that don't want to go out and talk to anybody at their face and shake hands, but you got to get off your phone and you got to go to these events and talk to people, put face to name, right?
Yeah, I talked to my son. It's like once he got to that age, I was like, Puppy, I need you to start going out with your friends, right? Feel free to text them, whatever. Hey, let's meet up here. I'll drive all you guys. I'll drop you off, whatever. Go do your thing. But always know that Dad's around, right? Because if I go around and I see you at the restaurant like this, right? You're going to hear, Marine! I can know who it's from. Put it away. Start talking to people, right? So he's followed me throughout his years and started seeing that. I'm very open with my relationship with him on social media. So when he's out with his mother or his family, oh my God, it's Brandon. I know your dad from.
Right.
I saw you. Hey, I heard you did great on soccer. So he sees the networking stuff.
Oh yeah.
Now he's in his second semester of college. Right. So we have
now he's talking to all the ladies.
No, even more so. He sends a text message to me and his mother, right? He's like, Dad, I know what you're talking about. You're about networking, this, that. Everybody knows me on both floors.
Damn.
That's awesome.
I think his mom was like, I send you to college
to learn,
to learn, not to be your father.
She wants her money back.
Yeah, so because it's the power of networking. Sure. I was like, he's changing his major to pre-med. And I told him, I was like, buddy, somebody that you're in school with right now, right now, later on in the future might be the mayor of that town.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you want to open your clinic. But because you had a relationship with them in 2025 at UC Merced, Brandon, no way. How you been? Right?
Yeah.
Relationship.
Always, man.
Always. People want to do business with who they know and they trust. And if they don't know you, right? You can always count on the cheese man line. Hey, so I saw you a picture with Bobby and Fina from MyPay on IG. How are they?
What's going on?
My God! La, la. Right? Because they know Fulana, and Fulana knows you. I'll trust you.
Hey, spoken from the master right here. Spoken from the master.
I do say that. I'm like, any friend of Shay is a friend of mine.
Right.
It just
because you gave them, not just amazing customer service. You gave them love, right? And because of that, you know what? I want to give love back. Sure. So while they're out and about, right, and somebody has, look at those tiles. Who did that? Oh, I went to something. No. Shh. Te me callas. Here's my girl, Fina. Tell her I sent you.
Yeah.
Because I can't be seen with that. Right? Because you gave them that love. They want to give that love back.
That's
and
true.
That smile.
Right? And,
well, I mean, got two salespeople over there.
It's about love.
I know, right? Well, hey, we're starting to get up against it, so we always want to ask everybody's listening, where can they find Dr. Mike? Where can they, if they want to learn more about your services, learn more about you?
Awesome. You can always go to Jerez Chiropractic on IG or Michael Jerez Chiropractic Inc. on Facebook. You could always call us at Cornish Physical Therapy here in the Coachella Valley. We're more than happy to come see you guys, take care of you, your family, from pregnant moms to CIA officers to athletes here in the Valley. We got you.
Spell your last name because it's not with an H.
It's Jerez, Jerez. Like I always joke around that my enemies are the Jimenez, the Juarez, and the Perez. They can say them names right? But all of a sudden they like, is it Juarez? No, it's Jerez.
It is
right, or in English Jerez. But I promise my family, even my Italian mom, right, I'll start saying my name correctly.
Wow,
bro, I grew up on 2 C's, man, chivalry and chanclas.
Hey, chanclas work, man. They work.
Till this day.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Mike is the best. I suggest you guys check him out. Obviously, he's going to take care of you and give you some good stories in the meantime while he's working on it.
Always.
So check him out. We appreciate you coming in, Dr. Mike.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Thank
you. Appreciate it.
And if you found some value in today's conversation, you know the routine. Like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.